Does everything have a bright side to it? Of course. Doesn't always outweigh the negatives, but everything has a bright side to it. This makes happiness a choice. And here we say that the discipline of being happy is the ultimate discipline. With that said, welcome to the Ultimate Discipline Podcast, where we meet with people who are practitioners of this exact discipline, and we hear their cool stories of cultivating happiness through challenges in their life. I am your host, Sean Greenspan. Let's get to it. Traci, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. How are you?
I am excellent. I'm glad to be speaking with you. For those that don't know, I love people like Traci in my life. I have never met Traci in person yet. It's going to happen. We both started doing some consulting work for the same client. And whether she knows this or not, I was extremely impressed because it seemed like she ran almost everything for this client. And this was just one of many clients, yet she showed up to the meetings like unbelievably calm and organized. And I ran a lot for this client, a lot for others clients. If I show up to meetings, I was like, hey, what's happening, guys? Like I was definitely going off of adrenaline, and I didn't feel as composed as Traci you were, and I was really impressed by that. And that's why I kind of reached out, asked like, what do what's your role? And I found out that Traci's role was to be an integrator, to basically take the vision of these entrepreneurs and founders and turn them into actionable steps. So we're driving results, we're going towards goals while cutting time in half. I think that's something everyone can relate with. Since me and Traci have started working together on my business, I've learned a lot from Traci. I think we've started a cool friendship too. We've traded some books back and forth. And I'm really excited to give Traci a chance here to talk about some productivity hacks and systems that she has put in place. And I think there's no better way to start, Traci, than to talk about the month-long vacation you had while your business was still running.
Yes. That's the cool thing about what I do. I'm the systems and structures person, right? Which is kind of the boring part of the business, especially when you're talking to a visionary or a founder who has these like big, bold, like beautiful ideas and ways to like literally change the world. I come in and I'm like, okay, but we need to put a system in place and we need to put a structure in place. But what that does is it allows it allows it to run on autopilot. It allows you to, so for me, my vacation, right? Because I've put systems and structures into place, I have a bunch of clients. I run the back end of their business, the systems and structures. I was able to put that on autopilot, and I have 4 little boys. And my husband and I were able to go down to Florida for a month this summer with them. We took them to Disneyland, or Disney World, Universal Studios. We were in Orlando. We went to Legoland, like just all of these things. And literally everything ran in the background. 2 of my clients had their best months ever while I was on vacation. So they were able to scale significantly. And I checked in here and there, but for the most part, everything worked like clockwork. Everything worked seamlessly, and all of the teams, everything, it just flowed. And it was amazing. So I was able to work and play like pretty much at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what's cool about that. I know you, so I've been able to see it, right? I've been able to, be a part of the meeting. So like, hey, I only take, meetings this time because I'm doing this in the afternoon on a Tuesday or whatever. So I think that's one big thing, right? To practice what you preach. That's really important. I think that's something good that when people are checking out other people's work, that's something they might skip over. Something else I think was cool that you add in there that I think a lot of people's brain jumps to like the fun ending was you said it's kind of like the boring stuff. And I know because at Greenspan Consulting, we brought Traci in and she's been helping us. And there are some tedious tasks and things, right? This is an investment of time and energy into your business. But if I could speak freely about Tracy, about like how you've helped me. So for everyone that doesn't know, I run Greenspan Consulting. So we help mission-driven companies expand their impact through marketing and, like growth strategies. Now, a lot of it was centered around me and my thinking, but a lot of the day to day, almost all the day to day, it's not handled by me, which begs the question, why I'm involved in every single step, right? And Tracy always says, think once, right? Think
Yes.
once.
Think
And
once and
Tracy,
never think again.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the way I interpret that is like, okay, for example, I signed a new client, really cool client. It's a personal brand. They're into like ultra running and fitness like me, which is fun. And they have a cool coaching program. Like my initial thought when like we onboard them, Tracy, was, oh, let me just go to my, standard onboarding, document, click it over here. I added the roles of all the team members, and actually I didn't even do it. Jessica added the roles of the team members in Monday.com. I had a few tasks in there, right? Like hold a meeting with them, but hold the meeting. Here's the agenda for the meeting, right? So I'm not either scrambling beforehand, like how do I do these kickoff calls again? Like, because I've done a bunch. I could probably get 85% of it right and then send them an email after, oh, I forgot this and this. It was just like, no, like schedule a meeting. Here, I copy and pasted the agenda to them, sent it to them. They loved it. And it just worked so well. So now like onboarding them, instead of taking 5 hours, took me the 1 hour meeting and 5 minutes outside of that.
Right. And the thing I think, so basically, Sean, what you're saying is like before it was just whatever off the top of your head, you ask them the questions and then you sent them whatever you forgot, you'd send them separately, right? Versus after we thought once, right? So we created your entire process of onboarding. We kind of line itemed every detail of what was needed,
Yeah.
thought once, and then after that, you signed a new client, and it was a piece of cake, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things though that I wanted to mention there was like how much brain power did you use on the second versus the first?
The cognitive load was so much lower. I was able
Yeah.
to be creative. Now that's a big thing, right? I'm a marketing consultant. I need to be creative. I need to come on these calls and excite people with campaign ideas that really it's not from lack of preparation. They need to be off the cuff because
Mm-hmm.
I need to take what they're saying. It's an onboarding call. I need them to say,
Right.
"Oh, this is my goal." Well, did you think about this, right?
Right.
But if in the background, I was also like, do we have access to their social medias? Like, do we have access
Yeah.
to their creative assets? You can't do that. So the cognitive load was down. And I feel like I'm just talking out Tracy, but it's because I believe in it. The other cool thing was I remember I said, Tracy, let's set 30 minutes aside. I'll walk you through an onboarding and we'll knock this out. And he said, cool, who are we onboarding? And I was like, what? And you're like, why would you take 30 minutes of your time to tell me about how you're going to do an onboarding? Wait till you sign your next client, and when you're going to block 30 minutes off on your own calendar to prepare that onboarding, add me in, we'll do it as a meeting, and that's when we'll document it. So it was 30 minutes I was spending regardless, right?
Right.
Because it was, like I said, it was really going to be 5 hours or whatever, to spend a lot of time like thinking about everything we need and making it look good. But instead we waited till we signed a client, and that's when we did it. Because doing something, talk to me about that. Because doing something before it needs to be done, everyone always thinks is like a great thing, but it's not really the most productive all the time.
I don't think it is. I mean, so number one, why waste the time? Right? Like your
Yeah.
time is already so time, in my opinion, is our uh it's the only resource that we can't get more of, right? And so it is our most precious resource. And so in saying that, I've always been fascinated with like the time for money thing. I want to break that chain completely. And that's what I do more and more for everyone. And that's what we're talking about here, right? Is breaking that chain of So you could spend the time ahead of time doing creating your onboarding procedure and thinking about everything that you could possibly need. And number one, I feel like you have to be in the right frame of mind in
Yep.
order to actually sit down and think about doing it. You're not always in that frame of mind, which is totally fine, but you have to be there, right? And if you're
Yeah.
running a business, you're not there a lot, right? In that space. Number two, it's all hypothetical. So you'll add stuff in there that you don't need. You'll add fluff in there. You'll add like, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? Right? When you have an actual client that you are onboarding, it's like, okay, I just talked to them and these are the exact things that I need to send to them immediately. And so in doing that, you're laser focused. You've got a deadline of you now have a new client. You need to get them moving as quickly as possible. You're laser focused. You have the time to sit down and do it because you have to do it anyways. Right. And so it's on the first scenario, why waste your time? On the second scenario, it's like you have to make the time. So while you're making the time, let's just create a system around it so that it will flow easily every single
Yeah.
client. And you can even pass it off to someone else and not even have it on your plate. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the best scenario.
Yeah. And then there's actually an X factor too, because so let's say let's like when we went through that onboarding, the quality increased because I was like,
Yes.
this needs to be the standard, right? This if the standard's low, when I'm super stressed out doing an onboarding late at night and I do 80% of my quality, it's like, that's not good if the standard's already not top notch. So and actually today I'll tell you, we brought on, we've changed our messaging a little bit, and we've really changed like our core service. So we just see the explosion of short form video content.
Yeah.
So our new mission statement is to help expand the impact of mission driven companies by making them machines at creating short form content, right? Um,
Yes.
and so we want to kind of redo a pitch deck because there's a lot of people I think that we can help that are in my circle. And, I want to send them, a little deck on what we can do. So I was like, damn, a pitch deck to make it look good and everything. We're talking 3-4 hours. And then of revisions and edits. And I said, stop, Sean. Go reach out to someone, book a meeting, and build it for that meeting in like a templated style. So you'll be happy. That's what I did this morning. That's what I worked on this morning was like the template. Cause I was just like I was gonna build that document and then be like, okay, file save. Now I built it, I was like, file send.
Very nice. Yes. Exactly that. Over and
Yeah.
over and over again. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how you build it. Kind of how you build it out. Well, let's talk about some practical things. Not everyone on here is going to be an entrepreneur, but I don't think you just work with like entrepreneurs and business owners, or I should say, I don't think your advice only applies to them. It's anyone
Mhm.
looking to like optimize, their time. If someone's out here listening, regardless of what they're doing, what do you think like is a good kind of like first step to understand how they can, you know, start to get their time back, earn their time back?
Yeah, I think so I uh kind of practice what I preach in all aspects of my life, right? So I have four little boys, which means and they're still young. They're 12, 8, 6 and 12, 10, 8 and 6. So they're still young, right? So they still need a lot of they need lunches, school lunches made and everything, right? And there is freedom in the systems. There is freedom in the boundaries. So what I mean by that is whether it's business or whether it's life, it's actually coming up with systems. And you already have some, I'm sure, right? Like most people when they get themselves dressed every morning, they do things in the same order,
Mm,
right? You brush
I
your
do.
teeth and then you get in the shower and then you wash your hair and then you wash your body, then right? Like it's you already have some of those set up. So what I would recommend doing is look at everything else, right? It's kind of like uh what you want to do kind of with your life is I kind of, my example is cleaning out a closet, right? Closets get messy, stuff gets packed in there. It's a disaster. What we need to do, we need to take it all out. We need to put the shoes in one place. We need to put the shirts in one place. We need to put the hats in one place, right? And get everything sorted, remove the stuff that's no longer working, and then nicely and neatly put it back in the
Yeah.
closet, right? And then it's this beautiful thing that you love walking into, right? Same thing with your life, right? If or your business, right? Both. Where where are the spots that are painful? Where are the spots that you're cringing that you have to do, right? Whether it's cleaning the house, whether it's cleaning out a closet, whether it's um, stuff with the kids, right? That you're like, I hear from a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
other, parents that they're in the car all day long, right? Because they're transferring kids everywhere, right? With business, right? It could be that your team is like driving you insane. They're not getting what they need done. It could be that you're having to clean up their mistakes. It could be that you are literally working 10 hours a day, and you have no like you're working, doing like tasks all day long, and you have these visions for how you want your business to be, but you have no time to actually be a visionary because
I
you're
think
so
that's,
busy doing this stuff, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like that's it's we see it in our lives, right? But the mess, the bottleneck, the thing that is like keeping you stuck, the thing that you like literally hate doing, that's where you start in cleaning out the closet, reorganizing it, and putting it back in to make it a system and make it flow.
I think you hit it on the head there. Like with the thing that most related to me, was kind of like the I have these ideas that I don't feel like I have time for. And I think that's a lot of people. Maybe they don't run a business, it's in their life. It's, I want to pick up like reading, studying this, like I want to exercise, like whatever they're doing, they just don't have time. And um because again, this is like taking the time to build these systems takes time, right?
Mhm,
Something like
mhm.
you, but then I mean, the dividends are unbelievable. But
Right.
just something to consider. I think so. You're kind of saying like a first step would be just identifying like what needs to be optimized, if you will.
Um, Identifying the issues, right? Like one of the first things that I have my clients do, whenever I start working with them, is do a brain dump. Literally make a list of everything in your head, because I guarantee you half of the issue, that is going on is that you have so many things running around in your head that need to be done, that you want to get done, that should have been done but didn't get done, that you have to check on because you don't know if somebody did it, right? Like all of that stuff is running around in your head. That's your closet, right? That's the messy closet. Is you can't get organized because there's so much happening in your head. First thing, do a brain dump. Get everything out of your head, get it on a piece of paper, right? That's step number 1. It's getting everything out. Then
I actually do that before I go to bed.
it's huge, right? It makes a
Yeah.
difference. You can then sleep because you know that you've written it down, and you don't have to keep it in your head anymore. You'll just look at your list tomorrow and know it's there, right? Same
Mhm.
concept, just doing it. For entrepreneurs, I think there's something, uh, they've built up years worth of stuff, right? Like clutter in their brains, right? So getting it all out and getting it just black and white on a piece of paper, number 1 is life changing just in itself, right? Because it's just all of a sudden you've got space in your brain, right? To actually breathe and right, like to, yeah, to take a minute.
It, it's so real and just funny that you're saying this because I'm reading a book, and I'm looking up because I forget the name of the book. Oh, The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler. Um, And he talks about from like a neurobiological level things that consume cognitive load, and really how that's one of the main goals if you want to enter the flow state. And when we're talking about optimizing a business, learning a new passion or whatever in your personal life, like you need to get into flow or at least close.
Yes.
Um, and like anxiety, things like this, like brain scans show like they take up so many neurons and um, just so much cognitive load that it's like you don't have the energy to then do the other stuff.
Right. Well, you're in fight or flight mode, right? You're in survival mode when you're not in flow state, right? And so many of us with that clutter in our brains, like we're in that fight or flight, like we're just trying to survive, right? Instead of flow. So the second you can get all of it out of your head and actually give you that clarity and that space to breathe, that's how you get into the flow state.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I love it.
yeah, right. And so then second, and this is, and literally, Sean, that's what we're talking about, right? Is like getting your entire business into a flow state, right? Like that's what I do, right? Like that's it,
Hmm.
right? That's what the systems do, is that it allows it to flow. Like think about your business like
Yeah,
water, right? You just want it to flow. You want customers to come in, profits to come out, right? Like that's, you just want that
yeah,
flow to happen. And so that's all we're doing is creating, I guess, the pipes for the water to flow through.
yeah. And let me try to make that a little more, practical or relatable for
Yeah.
people because you see all the dots connect so
Right.
clearly. You
Right.
know, I I am working towards this. So I don't maybe remember weeks and months like this, but I remember days like this since we've started working together where it's, I wake up and the meetings on my calendar are optimized. What I mean by that is it's not that I don't have meetings, it's that they have agendas that have already been sent out automatically. I'm lucky enough to have someone else send them out, or there's like a structure to it, or if I was sending them out, there's a template to it, right? um, those meetings have agendas. I have a note in my to-do list that auto generates to review those agendas.
Yeah.
And then I have I go through like my to-do list, and my to-do list, I think this is one of the things we use monday.com. That's what Traci helped me set up, but it could be anything. Like the things on my to-do list are all under 30 minutes to do. And uh it's not reach out to, or generate new business, right? That's not it. It's reach out to 5 new people in this niche with this message. There's a link to the niche that we created, the ideal customer profile. There's a link to the message. So when I see generate new business, right? I'm thinking now, Traci, the first thing I say is, my business could grow faster. Like that is a daunting task. Like I really think about where do I start, and I'd probably the first thing I'd do is go do some push-ups or walk around, get rid of that energy, and start thinking about it. Versus, you know, oh cool. Like right now, I'm looking at people that have really strong like Instagram followings in the fitness wellness world. Don't really have good followings on TikTok, YouTube Short. So it's very easy for me to find them. I have like the base for my messaging, but I love to dive into their content, and I have the time dive into their content, craft a message. Hey, this is why I think we can help you. I'd love to set up, some time to connect. It just becomes so easy. And like, it's more like exciting to do it. Like I can focus on like, I love going to people's, like learning from them, right? Going to their
Yep.
Instagram and watching some things, learning from them, being like, I love,
Yep.
like that's just like the fun of work. What's not fun of work is like, how do I craft this message? Like, that type of stuff. So that's kind of, I think, what I take away when I say live, working in flow. Like I'm creatively digesting and regurgitating content as my work versus doing sales emails, right?
Yeah. And I think that there's kind of in working with that flow, and kind of, you mentioned the tasks, right? Like if there is a task, so here's what I believe, or here's what I've found is that as soon as you get the systems and structures in place, your business scales naturally, right? Like it just naturally starts to increase. The reason for that is because you're doing exactly what you just talked about. So the systems and structures will give you, the founder or the visionary, more free time, right?
Hmm.
The reason you started the business is because you have a mission, a vision, and a goal to achieve, right? So what I've noticed is when you have more free time, that is when the juices start flowing again, right? When you get into that
Yeah.
flow state. So what happens is then you start thinking of these good ideas and you're like, I wonder, I'm interested in this, working with this person. I'm going to reach out to them, right? And there's your sales process, but it came out about completely naturally in that you're interested in working with them and it sounds like fun, right? And so it's this, by getting all this quote stuff, business stuff off of your plate, of just the
Yeah.
admin, the day-to-day, the stuff that you don't want to do, it gives you the time to naturally grow your business.
I don't even know if, well, yes, I so agree with this. And I'm thinking about like the whole like energy topic that we have
Yeah.
about, kind of like setting your intentions.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for podcast episode number 2, but it is it is interesting because so here's something else that's really interesting to me. I hope other people can align with it because it's exactly how I feel is like I'm not going to let something slip, right? That's not going to be the case. And when I don't have these systems in place, I cannot tell you how many times this is literally what I would do. I'd take notes on a call. Something is so important. Then, Traci, after I'm taking notes on this call, I'm gonna email it. I used to email follow up to a client,
Right. Right.
copy myself on that email. Then I would say, wow, like my inbox so big. I'd go through and I'd forward emails to myself, kind of like when I want them to be. And then, I'd maybe get it again, understand when the deadline is, and be like, cool, I'm going to now write it back in the notebook for like a to-do list. It's like, when I look at some of the things, like how I've touched it 4 times before I've
Yes.
done and like the whole task is a 20-minute task. It's like, Sean, just shut up and do it sometimes.
Yep.
And now, kind of like the systems that we've put in place. It's I don't know. It just everyone's heard of these things, touch things once, like, but
Right.
when you don't want, like, I never want to like not do something for a client, right?
Right.
So like I'm just gonna write it down. I don't know. I think that's something that people might relate with.
Totally. And it's I don't think that we actually realize how much time those touch points take on a regular basis, right? So, like we were talking earlier, and you said that since we started, you've cut off like 20 hours a week of your
When
work
we started,
schedule,
I
right?
was I was 60 plus hours a week. Now I'm 40.
Right. And we're
And
still working
we're
on it,
getting
right?
yeah.
We're still working on it. But like the thing is that like, so those touch points, right? The onboarding a client and thinking like, I'm going to send this. Oh yeah, and I forgot this. I'm going to send that too, right? All of those things, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it adds up really, really quickly in your time.
Yeah.
And so would it be helpful if I gave like kind of a practical, here's how I structure like the beginning, like the first 10 minutes of my day every
Absolutely.
day
Um,
to set me up to actually only work a few hours a day?
Absolutely. And one thing I did want to say, just to give you more credit, was the 60 hours a week was with a list of the stuff I haven't done for my soul, right? Like the
Yeah.
podcast, right?
Yeah.
Write 2 blogs a week. The 40 hours is part of that time is podcast, blog, things that I want to be spending more time on.
And how about, and that's just business. How about life? Like, are you getting more there too?
I This is one of my favorite topics. We're gonna dive in. We're gonna remember to go back to your 10-minute morning. But
Yep.
the reason I say that is, so I'm in Italy. been in Italy for 6 weeks. We're this cool small town. It's actually called Monopoly, right on the Adriatic Sea. And I've been waking up, and my mornings have been afternoons. Like the morning is playtime, working,
Hmm.
US hours. And today I woke up early, got my run in, got ate everything, got my meditation, made good breakfast, and then like I found myself like not using that time efficiently, right? I was like, we have like whatever, it doesn't matter. We're doing something stupid, me and Emma, and I was just like, like I have 2 hours right now before I'm gonna start work. Like I can do anything, right? And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people like beg for time in this world and then squander it. So I think
Yeah.
that's just a challenge for people to look at what you're doing with the free time. So yes, my free time has been it's been I'm signed up for the 100-mile race. So that's what my free time has
Very
been.
good. Very good. Well, and it's interesting, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs that have worked for years and years and years, these mega hours every week, when it does free up, they don't know what to do with themselves, right? Like it kind of takes a minute to figure out like what do I don't remember what I actually like to do or what, right? Like I need to find a hobby or like,
Yeah.
something fun to do that it's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That
it takes a minute.
it's for sure, for sure. All right, let's hear about the first 10 minutes of the day.
Yeah. So the first 10 minutes of the day, what I do every morning, I use Monday.com. And I've got just a task list in Monday. And my task list is literally a brain dump. So one of the things I've got the tasks that I put on there from yesterday, right, that I still need to do. And I will think about every one of my clients. And is there anything that happened from the time I was, from yesterday to today? Is there anything that has happened, right? Did they send me a text? Did they send me an email? What happened? And so I will actually give myself like additional things to do, right? Like, oh, I need to check on the back end of this. I need to check on this Shopify store. I need to follow up with this client. I need to, whatever it is, right? And I will make my list. So I just do a quick brain dump. It takes 2 seconds because it's only from yesterday to today.
Um, do you check text and emails as well when you do
Yeah.
that?
So what I'll do is I'll check my texts. I'll see what came through. I'll check my emails. I'll see what came through. I'll check Slack, what came through. Right.
But you're
And
not
so
responding.
I'm not responding. I'm just checking, doing a really quick check to see what came through. And I'm making a quick list for myself. Right. And the
Great.
list is things that are really quick to do. Right. Um, yeah. So they're very quick. So it's not like come up with my marketing plan for
And
2023, right?
what
That's
if you
not it.
what if yeah, what if you get that curveball, right? Because I think I know how you'll handle this, but I'd like to hear you share it. What if you get that curveball? That is that big task. You know, whatever. Me, I say, hey Tracy, just so you know, I forgot to tell you I'm taking the next month off of work.
Mhm.
Let's dial in a game plan for that. Like that, that
Yep.
takes a little time to prep. How would you break that down?
Well, so if you're doing this on a regular basis and if you have your systems and your structures in place,
Hmm.
those don't happen anymore, right? Those huge curveballs that take up 3 days of your time to figure out because you've streamlined everything because you get ahead of the game, right? You get ahead
Yeah,
of it, so everything kind of smooths out for you. But when there are fire drills that happen, right?
of
Like
course.
a system went down, something, right? When you're doing so, so let me get to that in just a sec, right? So, what I would do in that case is, something comes in, let's say overnight, the next morning I'm looking at it, I would add that to my list as part of my brain dump, right? So, I would,
Mm,
along with everything else that needs to be done, right? And the second thing that I do, and that's where this would come in, is I prioritize all of those. Right. So then I go through that brain
mm,
dump, that list of everything that needs to be done. And Monday allows it where you can just pull it up to the top. So you can put like, this is priority one, priority two, priority three, priority four, priority five. Right. And so I can actually put them into a priority list. And so that
yeah.
fire drill, that whatever is happening would go at the top of the list. And I would get that done first and get that done immediately.
Getting done the priorities. what would you say about that as far as overall productivity? Because, you know, again, what we spoke about before the call, right? Like, I kind of look at, some of these things, like what I did before I did anything today, the two things I knocked out, building that pitch deck and then updating the website. If that was my whole day, it's a win of the day. It really would
Yes.
be. Um, Obviously, right, I would have missed some touch points or something, but is that kind of how you look like? Is it how important is prioritizing, I'd say, or what's like a trick for it?
Well, it's mega, right? Like it's one of the most important things that you can do because so here's this is what allows me to work part-time, right? Because the things that have to get done that will make a difference in the my business or my client's business are what gets done first. If there's some
Always, yeah.
piddly little things that need to get done, right? But like they don't need to get done right now. It's not going to hurt anything, right? Like if I need or even want, right? Like sometimes I just want a break, right? Like I just want to go outside and go for a walk instead of sitting in front of my computer. I know that I've done, like, kind of like you said, right? Like I've already done the priorities for the day, everything that I need to do to further and promote my business and stay ahead of everything has been completed. If there's three or four things that I can knock out tomorrow morning, I'll move them to tomorrow and I will go enjoy my day, right?
Yeah.
And I know that everything is on track. Nothing is falling through the cracks. Everything is being taken care of. Everything is in a flow state. Like we're all good. Right. And so when I leave my desk, that is where I'm going. Right. Like I'm going off to just literally enjoy my day without all the clutter in my brain because I've done all of those priority items first.
Yeah. It's I'll say from working with you, prioritize getting clear on my priorities, which does happen when you get a little more quiet time. And well, actually, just when you set a time aside to do it, getting clear on
Yeah.
my priorities, um, you know, was one of the biggest things that helped because our ego tricks us into doing busy work to make
Yep.
us feel good, to check
Yeah.
boxes. And it's I'm not past it, you're not past it. We're all dealing with it.
Sure.
But we try to dummy proof it, right, with systems. And that's what it comes to is I know for a fact after this, Tracy, I have 1 hour of no meetings, right?
Good.
And that is really my only time slot until my meetings are over. So I know I need to make sure I'm prepared for my meetings and I have the two tasks lined up in Monday.com. You
Right. So
know,
you know exactly what you need to do within that hour because you don't have time the rest of the day to get your stuff done. Right. And that's
yeah.
perfectly okay. But you're getting done exactly what you need to do. It's great.
hmm And there's there's just a little growth that needs to happen inside of me of saying, hey, it's okay that that email is going to take a few extra hours for you to get back to
Right.
or a day or something. Um, Tracy, I think we're going to need a round two. And I think the round two is going to tap into the spiritual side a little bit
Yeah.
because for those that are listening, the title of the podcast, Happiness, Life's Ultimate Discipline, right? This could not be more on theme, right? To be able to be more productive and more efficient is exactly what people need to achieve happiness and peace because it ultimately leads in more success, which could lead to more freedom and self-love, more time, which can lead to you diving into things you love more, and then hopefully that leads to more impact. So I I really think a second one in a couple months would be fun to dive into that. I do want to say for anyone listening that whether it's in your life or in your business, right? What what Tracy does is just, I mean, she helps you. It's almost life coachy, but you don't take a life coach approach at all. You take an analytical systems approach. It's get more in less time. And I guess that's a big thing to promise, but I've seen you back it up with yourself, with me. So I think that's pretty exciting. And I don't know if there's any tips or things that you want people to walk away with, but I'd love to hand over to you to kind of wrap it up.
Oh gosh. I'm all about I think we all should be living life on our own terms. And I think it's different for all of us and everyone. And I think that uh time is again our most precious asset. It's the thing that we can't get back. And so really take the time to sit down and and choose, right? Where do you want to be spending your time? And then
Yeah.
figure out ways to make that happen, right? And it's all right. It's all great. Like there's nothing if you want to work less time in your business so that you can go play with your kids, excellent. If you want to have more
Yeah.
time,
No judgment. No.
yeah, like if you want more time in your business so that you can scale your business and make a bigger impact, excellent. That's what you should be doing, right? But it's if you are a slave to your business and the time that it takes to do these things, then it's time to start making changes. And that's wonderful and it's great. And again, no judgment, right? It's just we are where we are, and let's choose to improve ongoing, right? And actually live life on our own terms. Choose to make that happen.
The I guess I hope that message sets in. And really, the last thing that I would say is what held me back. Because I know we danced around and flirted before working together about how we can kind of get this actually optimized. Was my ego, right? I was kind of like I don't need help. And like I can just do it. And then I also started thinking like, this would work for someone that has less work than me, but like no
Mhm.
one has less work than me, right? Like that's what
Yeah.
everyone thinks. So I think their situation's unique. But anyways, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I hope everyone that listening found a couple golden nuggets that they could take away. If you do want to contact Traci, get in contact with me through Instagram, the website, greenspanconsulting.com, where the podcast is hosted. And I just hope to hear from you guys if you have any questions for Traci. And Traci, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
This was, I hope you have a great day, and we'll definitely be staying in touch.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for watching today's episode. If you got something out of this, it would mean so much if you could just take a second and give us a rating on whatever platform you're watching it on. And it would mean so much to the world if you could just find one person that you think this message resonates with and you can share that with them. Thank you so much for your support. Looking forward to share the next episode with you.